In the tangled web of family relationships, despite the official court ruling that determined the children's primary residence to be with their father, reality painted a different picture. Little Mia remained under her mother's care, while Ben found his home with his father. Every weekend, the boy spends time with his mom, and a special bond has formed between them, full of tenderness and understanding. However, deep down, the woman understands that the events they've endured have left an indelible mark on her son's heart, and it won't be easy for him to forget the past. The court decision mandated that the mother pay child support, but considering the significant income disparity between the parents and her modest financial situation, the amount was set at a minimum. In a noble gesture, the father stated that he didn't need the funds, thereby relieving his ex-wife of an additional financial burden. The woman breathed a sigh of relief when the divorce proceedings finally came to an end, leaving behind years of tension and uncertainty. The father maintains contact with his ex-wife solely on matters concerning Ben, shielding himself from any other interactions. As for Mia, he flatly refuses to communicate with her, despite all her attempts to build bridges and sincere apologies. He claims that he doesn't blame his daughter for what happened, but doesn't wish to maintain any relationship with her, as if trying to erase her from his life. The woman admits that she has gone through difficult times, facing a wave of hatred and negativity that has washed over her from all sides. As a result, she decided to delete her account and temporarily abandon the use of the Reddit platform, hoping to find peace and hide from prying eyes. She cherishes the hope that in the future, when her financial situation stabilizes and improves, she will be able to seek professional help for herself and Mia to heal the emotional wounds and move forward. The brazen flirting of a certain woman at her sister's wedding party provoked a strong reaction from those around her. The story she is about to share seems unbelievable. For the past few days, her life has resembled a heartbreaking drama. An event that was supposed to be one of the happiest moments in her life, namely her younger sister's wedding, turned into a personal nightmare. The tension between her and her husband reached its peak, resulting in abusive words and actions that she never expected. The joyous event quickly turned into a chaotic mess, leaving her emotionally devastated and alienated from loved ones. She couldn't believe that her husband would react so strongly to such an absurdity, capable of changing their lives forever. First, a brief introduction. The protagonist's name is Charlie. She is 33 years old, and she is married to Philip, who is 45. They have been married for 5 years and until recently lived happily. The woman is aware of the reader's thoughts regarding the age difference between her and her husband. However, she has always sought a mature and patient person by her side. Having grown up in a traumatic environment, witnessing her parents' constant arguments, she sought stability and security in a partner, which she found in Philip. Despite the age difference, they share common values and have a strong, loving relationship built on mutual understanding and respect. This is why she values stability and emotional maturity in her partner so highly. Philip's calm nature and wisdom have been a source of comfort for her, helping to heal the emotional wounds of the past. A momentous occasion loomed on the horizon. The narrator's younger sister, Alex, was about to get married. Alex approached her brother and his spouse, Philip, with a request to take on the honorable mission of organizing the wedding celebration, as they were her closest and only relatives. The age difference between the sisters was 8 years, and the narrator had always felt a special sense of care and protection for Alex since her childhood. The news that her sister had finally decided to take such an important step and found her happiness with a loved one filled the narrator with genuine joy. The protagonist expressed her willingness to do everything possible to make this day the most unforgettable in Alex's life, assuring her that she would take care of all the worries and troubles. Philip, sharing his partner's enthusiasm, supported her desire to do everything possible for her sister. Together, they began carefully planning the wedding celebration, striving for perfection in every detail to make this day truly special for Alex. With Philip's support and the narrator's unwavering determination, they were determined to turn the wedding into a magical and unforgettable event. Without sparing time or effort, they dedicated countless hours to planning the perfect wedding, from choosing a picturesque venue to to selecting exquisite floral arrangements and creating a delightful menu. As the long-awaited day approached, the narrator eagerly anticipated the moment when Alex, dazzlingly beautiful, would walk down the aisle to begin a new chapter of her life, filled with love and happiness. Having arrived in Detroit 2 weeks before the momentous event, the narrator immersed herself in the whirlwind of wedding preparations to support Alex in choosing a wedding dress and resolving other organizational matters. The bonds between Alex and the narrator were more than just friendship. They were a source of strength and support for each other on life's journey. Philip, the groom, was due to join them in a week to share the burden of preparing for the celebration. Working in harmony, the girls made noticeable progress, striving for flawless execution of the planned schedule. The narrator took on the role of coordinator, trying to shield Alex as much as possible from the pre-wedding hustle and bustle and worries. Noticing that Alex was overwhelmed with responsibilities, the narrator took on a significant portion of the chores, seeking to ease her emotional state. Despite the difficulties that arose, the friends were determined to bring to life the perfect scenario for the wedding day. The narrator sincerely wanted Alex to enjoy every moment of the preparation, despite the inevitable stress. With Philip's arrival, there was hope for a smoother completion of all matters. As the X-Day approached, Philip's help became invaluable in completing the final touches. Thanks to his participation, it was possible to ensure that everything was ready for the celebration day. 5 days before the wedding, it felt like the main stages of preparation had been successfully completed. The narrator felt a deep sense of satisfaction with the results achieved, given the lack of experience in organizing such events. 2 days before the significant event, the wedding, a disagreement arose between the narrator and Philip, overshadowing the pre-holiday atmosphere. The subject of the dispute was the dress chosen by the narrator for the celebration. Philip expressed doubt about the appropriateness of the outfit, considering it too revealing for such an event. Seeking support and advice, the narrator turned to her friend Alex, who, on the contrary, supported the girl's choice, reasonably noting that there might not be another occasion to wear such a spectacular dress. Despite the hesitations and doubts caused by Philip's words, the narrator decided to follow Alex's advice and put on the chosen outfit. On the wedding day, the tension between the lovers reached its peak. Philip did not hide his dissatisfaction, which was evident as soon as he saw the narrator in the dress. The conversation between them ceased and a heavy silence hung in the air. The narrator considered Philip's reaction excessive and unjustified. In her understanding, the dress was just an item of clothing, not deserving such violent emotions, and even more so, the cessation of communication. The narrator believed that she had the right to feel happy and confident on this special day, at her sister's wedding. After all, this event is significant for her too, and she sincerely hoped that Philip would allow her to enjoy the holiday without overshadowing it with his nitpicking. She tried to convey to her lover how important it was for her to feel attractive and comfortable in the chosen outfit, but her arguments went unheard. Ultimately, the narrator remained true to her decision and put on the dress that, in her opinion, made her happy and confident. Philip demonstrated noticeable detachment, immersing himself in his own affairs and avoiding active communication with others. It seemed as if he was at the wedding celebration under duress, like a random guest who had no other choice. In the narrator's soul, irritation grew because of his unwillingness to participate in the general fun and show interest in the wedding amusements. He knew perfectly well about the close friendship between the narrator and Alex and realized how important this event was for her. The narrator sought to prove that marriage bonds can bring happiness if effort is put into it. However, Philip did not show the slightest desire to cooperate. Disappointment grew, as he seemed indifferent to whether this day would be special for Alex. Despite all attempts to involve him in what was happening, he remained aloof and did not meet her halfway, which raised doubts about his serious attitude towards their relationship. He was aware that the narrator and Alex's childhood was spent in an atmosphere of constant parental quarrels and conflicts. Alex had always been afraid of marriage and did not share the idea of marriage as an institution. Now that her opinion had changed, the narrator wanted to show her that she herself had found happiness and that she could also be happy. The narrator hoped that the change in Alex's attitude towards marriage would bring her peace of mind and satisfaction. She also sought to demonstrate that healthy relationships are possible, despite their past. She believed that by supporting Alex in her decision to marry, she could help her break free from a vicious cycle of negative behavior patterns and build a new, bright future. It was extremely important for the narrator to show her that love and devotion could be sources of joy and strength, not fear and discord. At the wedding celebration, the heroine was in for an unexpected surprise: the presence of her former lover, Andrew, whose name was not on the guest list. They were connected by a friendship from early childhood, shared dreams that seemed to predict their future together. However, over time, it became clear that their paths were diverging, and after graduating from college, they broke up, no longer maintaining contact. Meeting Andrew stirred up a storm of memories, both pleasant and painful. It was a kind of reminder of the past, of the changes that had taken place with each of them. During the wedding reception, they managed to chat a little, and it became clear that they had both found their happiness separately. This moment was filled with both sadness and satisfaction as they reminisced about the past and appreciated the present. At the same time, the heroine was seized with indignation because of the inaction of Philip, her current partner. The heavy dress and high heels created significant difficulties in moving. She struggled to cope with the situation, but Philip, lost in his thoughts, did not even notice her efforts. At the moment when she lost her balance, Andrew managed to catch her, saving her from an inevitable fall and awkwardness. When Andrew provided unexpected support, a wave of memories washed over her, taking her back to the days of their former romance. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for his timely intervention, and the fleeting eye contact awakened a poignant sense of nostalgia for lost intimacy. It was both a pleasant and sad nostalgia for a past connection. Her gaze involuntarily turned to Philip, who was engrossed in devouring the treats. She was amazed by his complete indifference to the wedding chores, as if he were just an outside observer, not the host of the celebration. Such behavior caused fair indignation. It was incomprehensible how one could remain so indifferent to an event that should be filled with personal meaning. His detachment looked like a manifestation of disrespect and deeply hurt. She firmly decided to discuss his behavior with him at the first opportunity, seeking to understand the reasons for his alienation. She hoped that a frank conversation would help clarify the situation and encourage him to be more responsible in his duties. In contrast was Andrew's tireless help, who took it upon himself to solve the problems that arose, as if it were his personal responsibility. At that moment, he seemed closer and dearer than Philip himself. His devotion and willingness to support her during the wedding preparations clearly demonstrated his desire for a flawless celebration. His selflessness and sincere concern created the feeling that he had become a real member of the family, exceeding all expectations. His support made it possible to realize that true family is determined not by blood ties, but by the love and care that are shown in difficult moments of life. When the narrator visited her sister, she was greeted with a mysterious smile, as if she were privy to some secret. The sister revealed that the narrator's accidental fall, gracefully prevented by Andrew, had made an indelible impression on him and served as the beginning of his support. This funny episode caused a burst of laughter in both sisters, taking them back to carefree times when they could chat for hours about nothing and laugh uncontrollably. Soon Andrew joined them, and the laughter only intensified. Alex, observing this picture, shared with Andrew her memories of the days when they spent countless hours together. Andrew admitted that he also missed those times and would gladly go back to the past to relive those moments again. His presence filled the atmosphere with nostalgia, making everyone feel grateful for their shared memories. It became a vivid reminder of the unique connection between them and how they value each other's company. Andrew's presence awakened a whole stream of memories and nostalgia, making everyone present feel a deep appreciation for their friendship. As they continued to reminisce, the laughter and joy became louder, further strengthening their bond. They shared stories, recalled funny incidents from the past, and felt grateful for the memories they had created together. As night fell, It became clear that regardless of the time that had passed, their connection remained strong and unbreakable. Andrew's presence was a vivid reminder of the longevity of their friendship, and they knew that no matter where life took them, they could always count on each other. The evening ended with a feeling of gratitude for the past and anticipation for the future, knowing that their bond would stand the test of time. As the narrator and Andrew continued to work diligently to ensure the event was flawless and all the guests were comfortable, an atmosphere of flirtation arose between them. It was a way to maintain energy and enthusiasm, as well as to enjoy the moment and have fun with the process. In the whirlwind of events, she completely forgot about Philip, wholly engrossed in Andrew. The exchange of inside jokes and light teasing created a sense of natural and exciting connection. It became a welcome distraction from the stress, allowing her to relax and enjoy each other's company. Their mutual attraction was obvious, and as the evening progressed, she felt herself drawn to him more and more. It seemed as if they were in their own little world, oblivious to everyone around them. When it was time to hit the dance floor, everyone enthusiastically joined in. It was then that the narrator remembered that perhaps she should dance with her husband and began to look for him. However, Philip was nowhere to be seen, and his phone immediately went to voicemail. Not wanting to spoil her mood on such an important day, she decided to let it go and simply enjoy the celebration. The music grew louder, the party picked up steam, and she felt herself getting lost in the moment, having a great time with friends. The realization dawned that Philip wasn't essential for her to have a good time, and she danced the night away without a care in the world. The music continued to play, and she let go of all worries, fully immersed in the festive atmosphere. The joy of the moment was too contagious to resist, and she danced with friends and family, creating unforgettable memories. The moment arrived for a slow dance, and all the couples were invited onto the glittering dance floor. However, Philip was nowhere to be found. At that very moment, Andrew, an old friend, offered the lady a dance, as in the old days. He was undoubtedly the life of the party, as he had helped with the organization and personally greeted each guest. From the outside, it might have seemed that she and Andrew were a couple, and many guests, not noticing Philip, thought so. A bittersweet feeling welled up inside. Andrew was always there when Philip was not around. Twirling in the dance, she couldn't help but feel a deep gratitude for his unwavering support and years of friendship. There was an undeniable chemistry between her and Andrew, their movements capturing the attention of many. The realization that Philip wasn't there to share this moment filled her heart with a bittersweet ache. She decided not to refute the assumptions of those around her, as explaining her husband's absence could raise unnecessary questions that she didn't want to answer. She didn't want to explain to everyone that one of the main organizers of the celebration was missing. This could create an awkward situation and give rise to many speculations. She didn't want the attention to shift from Alex's important day to gossip about problems in her marriage. It was easier to agree with the majority's opinion in order to preserve the atmosphere of the celebration. Furthermore, she avoided any potential rumors and gossip about her personal life. She simply smiled and nodded, allowing people to believe what they wanted to believe. Maintaining the appearance of a happy marriage seemed like the best solution, rather than revealing the truth and creating unnecessary drama at the celebration. After the end of the solemn ceremony, the protagonist headed to the hotel room where she and Philip were staying. The picture that presented itself to her was far from idyllic. Her husband, quite intoxicated, was aimlessly sprawled in the room. Unable to contain her indignation, she inquired where he had been while she had been trying in vain to find him throughout the wedding celebration. In response, she heard only a drunken smirk and words to the effect that he was right in front of her, but she was too busy flirting with her newfound old flame. Allegedly, he didn't want to interfere with her flirting and decided not to show his face. Incredibly, instead of apologizing for his absence at such an important event, Philip dared to accuse her of something. Frowning, she retorted that because of his absence, she had to turn to Andrew for help to make everything go smoothly. And if it took a little flirting to maintain his interest and willingness to help, then she saw nothing wrong with it. She noticed the pain reflected in his eyes, but her own emotions so overwhelmed her that she could not fully realize the impact of her words and actions. She emphasized that Philip had left her no choice but to accept Andrew's help, as he himself had shown complete indifference to his responsibilities. In response to this, Philip burst out laughing, stating that he had seen her giving him orders, while she batting her eyelashes at Andrew every time she needed something. Perhaps she did resort to this tactic more often than she should have in order to get Andrew's attention, but she was not about to admit it to Philip. It was a competition, and she was determined to emerge victorious at any cost. In her eyes, Andrew was a more reliable and efficient ally than Philip, so she saw no harm in enlisting his support. Besides, she enjoyed the playful dynamic that had developed between them, even if it meant employing subtle manipulations to achieve her desired outcome. Suddenly, Philip stunned her with the announcement that he intended to file for divorce upon their return home. He explained that he had seen how happy and radiant she was in Andrew's company at the wedding and party. He said he realized she had never been truly happy with him, and now he wanted to free her so she could enjoy life as she pleased. He declared that she didn't need to be stuck with an old soul and suppress her desires for his sake. He admitted that he had been holding her back, and that it was time for them both to move on and seek happiness elsewhere. He assured her that he wished her only the best, even if it meant letting her go. These words plunged the protagonist into shock and sadness, but deep down, she knew there was a grain of truth in them. It was a bittersweet moment, but she knew Andrew was her past, and she was grateful for the new chapter she was beginning in her life without him. At the same time, she was stunned to hear Philip talking about ending their relationship based on some harmless flirting. How could he even imagine such absurd things? She attempted to clarify the situation, emphasizing the innocent nature of her interactions with Andrew, portraying it as harmless flirtation devoid of serious intentions. She insisted on the sincerity of her feelings for her partner and assured him that she had no plans to go beyond a friendly relationship with Andrew. Her voice conveyed a hope for understanding and a chance for their union. She expressed the opinion that her beloved's reaction seemed excessive in relation to a minor episode that had no solid basis. Seeking to avoid escalating the conflict, she tried to downplay the significance of what had happened. As a solution, she suggested postponing the discussion until morning, believing that after a full rest, their emotional state would improve. She expressed confidence in the strength of their bond, capable of withstanding minor disagreements, and proposed having a calm conversation in the morning. Her words conveyed the importance of open communication and a desire for mutual understanding. Feeling tired after a busy day, filled with organizational chores and exhausting walking in heels, she only dreamed of a hot bath and restorative sleep. She understood that time devoted to rest and recovery would allow them both to look at the situation with greater clarity. She emphasized that taking care of oneself is an important condition for effectively resolving any problems. The next day, she felt it was important to express her love and deep gratitude to Philip before bed. She emphasized that they were a team, capable of overcoming any life challenges together. However, upon waking up in the morning, she found Philip gone. Assuming he might have gone down for breakfast, as she had woken up later than planned, she headed to the restaurant. There, she met Alex and her husband, but Philip was nowhere to be seen. Even a fleeting encounter with Andrew at a distant table and an exchange of smiles could not dispel her growing anxiety. Deciding to ask Alex if she had seen Philip, she received a negative answer. Overcome with anxiety, she began searching the entire hotel, hoping he had simply decided to explore the area on his own or take a walk to think about their conversation from the previous day. However, searching the hotel, she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety, which grew stronger with each passing minute. She asked the staff, but no one could provide information about his whereabouts. After a long search, she finally found Philip sitting by the pool, deep in thought. Relieved to see him safe and sound, she approached him and asked if everything was okay. Hugging him, she told him about her unsuccessful searches and expressed her excitement about the upcoming reception. Looking at him, she saw that he looked perfectly normal and assumed that all the disagreements had been resolved. Leaving him, she went to check the reception venue and make sure all the decorations were in place. On the way to her quarters, she encountered Andrew. He asked her if she had time for a chat. Not wanting to upset him, she agreed to give him some time, despite her fatigue and desire to rest. The following hours flew by in pleasant memories and sharing news about each other's lives. This meeting with Andrew was an unexpected and joyful event after a long separation. Saying goodbye, she felt grateful for this sudden but heartfelt conversation. She then hurried to prepare for the upcoming reception. Philip was already dressed and nearly ready to leave. She asked him to give her 20 minutes to get ready so they could leave together. Philip, understanding, assured her that there was plenty of time and offered to greet the guests. Grateful for his thoughtfulness, she gave him a kiss and promised to join him as soon as she was ready. Joining Philip at the reception, she was met with his smile and a compliment on her beautiful appearance, which heightened her anticipation for the evening. Throughout the formal reception, Philip behaved distantly, as if deliberately avoiding any contact. The reasons for this behavior remained a mystery. The heroine, determined not to spoil the festive evening, decided to ignore his odd behavior and focus on the pleasant moments. Upon returning to the hotel room, she found Philip already asleep. Realizing that trying to wake him to discuss the situation would be pointless, she postponed the conversation until they returned home. The thought that discussing the problem would be best done in the calm of their home environment seemed most reasonable. She decided that once they were back within familiar walls, she needed to calmly and thoughtfully discuss with Philip whatever was bothering him. Upon arriving home, Philip, without saying a word, went to his study and locked himself inside. He did not respond to her timid attempt to ask if he was all right and if he wanted to talk. The heroine, deciding to give him time to calm down, chose to rest. Her daytime nap was surprisingly long, probably due to the accumulated fatigue after the wedding celebration. When she went to the study, Philip was not there. He left a note saying that he would be back late at night and suggested that she take care of her own affairs and not wait for him. Deciding to respect his need for personal space, the heroine decided to give him the opportunity to be alone and reflect. She felt it was important to give him some freedom, so she used this time to rest and recover. The next morning, she found that Philip had already left for work. She couldn't help but be hurt by his detached behavior. This icy silence tormented her soul, and she firmly resolved that a conversation with him was inevitable, no matter what. In the evening, Philip returned home and silently handed her an envelope containing divorce papers. He dryly remarked that he had already signed them, saving her the trouble of having to persuade him. This news stunned her like a lightning strike. Philip's sudden decision threw her into a state of shock and devastation. She realized that their marriage had indeed collapsed, despite all her attempts to save it. The bitter truth crashed down on her with all its weight, leaving her in a state of confusion and deep sadness. Despite her efforts to communicate and reconcile, their relationship had come to an end. Philip, without saying a word, retreated to his study again. Gathering her courage, she began knocking on the door, begging him to open it and discuss the situation before taking such a serious step. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she pleaded with him to at least listen to her so they could work things out. Seeing that Philip had no intention of opening the door, she addressed the door as if it were a living sobеседник. She apologized if she had hurt his feelings in any way. She assured him that there was nothing between her and Andrew, and he had nothing to worry about. Just a chance encounter after a long separation had evoked a fleeting feeling of nostalgia. She swore that her feelings for Andrew were in the past, and her only desire was to focus on their marriage. She begged him to give her a chance to explain everything and fix what was broken between them. The next morning, during breakfast, Philip brought up the issue of moving out, stating that the author needed to pack her bags and vacate the space in order to expand the area for his personal belongings, which were dear to him. When asked in confusion about the reasons for such a sudden decision, Philip argued his position with hoarding, emphasizing that over the years of their life together, he had acquired an impressive amount of property, which was drastically lacking space. In addition, he expressed a desire for greater comfort and coziness in his own home, where he no longer had to share personal space with anyone. In a desperate attempt to prevent such a radical step, the author took Philip's hand and begged him not to make hasty decisions caused by jealousy. In response, Philip confessed that he had unwittingly witnessed long conversations and laughter between the author and Andrew, which resembled the times of their former love. He expressed his unwillingness to be an obstacle to the unrequited feelings that, in his opinion, the author still had for Andrew, and asked her to simply get out of the way. In response, the author assured Philip of the purely platonic nature of her friendship with Andrew, emphasizing that her feelings for Philip remained deep and unchanged. She promised to devote more time to strengthening their relationship, solving problems together, and restoring their former closeness. The next day, Philip insisted that she leave their shared home, taking only the bare essentials with her. In an instant, the world that had seemed so solid shattered into pieces, leaving her with a feeling of profound devastation and heartache. A simple quarrel that flared up between two loving hearts led to the tragic end of their beautiful romance. The fateful clash of egos, hers and Philip's, exacerbated by a reckless flirtation with an Andrew, undertaken only to make her beloved jealous, turned into a catastrophe that turned her whole life upside down. She feels a burning regret for her rash actions and dreams of being able to turn back time, undo what she has done, and prevent the inevitable. She should have shown more wisdom and tact in resolving the issue and exercised due prudence. In the future, she intends to work diligently to improve her communication skills, to strive for openness and honesty in her relationships with her partner, avoiding ambiguity. She never expected that the echoes of the past would so suddenly and mercilessly burst into her life, destroying the present and clouding the future so much that it would be extremely difficult for her to recover from the crushing blow of fate. It is especially bitter that Philip, whom she had always considered a mature and judicious man, could find no other way out than to break off their relationship because of such a minor incident. Her fleeting infatuation with Andrew, an innocent flirtation, should not have been the reason for ending their long-standing union. This sad episode only confirms Philip's deep-seated insecurity and testifies to how fragile their connection turned out to be, unable to withstand the test of jealousy. The realization that the person she trusted so implicitly allowed his insecurity to destroy what they had worked so hard to create together causes unbearable pain. In the future, the author plans to focus all her efforts on restoring her peace of mind and understanding what happened in order to create relationships based on a solid foundation of trust and mutual understanding in the future. Addressing all those who have supported her up to this point, she urges them not to blindly believe that their partner fully understands them. Even a minor act that may cause discontent can lead to the end of a relationship. The author learned this lesson the hard way and hopes that others can avoid such mistakes. Communication plays a key role in any relationship, so it is crucial to express your thoughts and feelings openly. Attention should be paid to resolving emerging problems before they escalate into serious conflicts and cause irreparable harm to the connection between partners. The author expresses gratitude to all who took the time to listen to her and help alleviate her heartache.